Welcome to the Fibromyalgia Podcast. I'm your coach, Tami Stackelhouse, and this is episode 172. Today, we're talking about something deeply personal, rediscovering joy. If you've lived with fibromyalgia, even for a minute, you know how easy it can be to lose your joy. Fibromyalgia can feel like a long taking away of things. There are so many things that can fade from our lives, hobbies, jobs, even friends and family. Sometimes it's as simple as no longer being able to eat the things we used to enjoy. Our world can start to shrink around the edges until joy feels impossible. But here's what I want you to know today. Even though fibromyalgia can take a lot from us, it does not have to take everything. There are still beautiful moments waiting to be found, and you can create new ones that fit with who you are now in the body you have now. This episode is all about helping you reconnect with that spark of joy, even in this new version of your life. Let's start just by calling out the truth. Chronic illnesses, like fibromyalgia, change everything. And I don't want to sugarcoat that. It is hard. You may have given up lots of things that you've enjoyed, hiking, dancing, gardening, traveling, because your body simply couldn't keep up or was in too much pain. When life becomes about managing pain and symptoms, and you only have so much energy, it's easy to focus the energy you have on just getting through the day, taking care of your family, doing your job, and then passing out on the couch with nothing left for yourself. That loss is real, and it deserves to be acknowledged, not glossed over. Your body has been in survival mode for a long time, even if you're newly diagnosed. There was a lot that led up to your diagnosis, and your body is doing its best to protect you. But when you are physically, when your body is constantly fighting, it quiets down the parts of you that feel curiosity and excitement and fun. With fibromyalgia, we get stuck in fight or flight. That is just part of the problem with fibromyalgia. And so the loss of curiosity and fun is actually part of that. When a saber-toothed tiger is chasing you and you're running for your life, when you're in fight or flight, the part of your brain that says, "Oh, what a pretty sunset," that is not even online. And it can be the same way with fibromyalgia. The good news is that those parts of you are not gone. They've just been waiting for you to feel safe enough to come back to them. It's like a muscle that you've stopped using and that has atrophied. You just need to build it up again. I also want to point out here that when we talk about joy, we're not just talking emotional, we're talking biological. When you experience something that genuinely brings you joy, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, the feel-good chemicals that lift your mood, help your focus, and even improve sleep and pain. But there's another powerful hormone that we honestly just don't talk about enough, and that is oxytocin. Oxytocin is often called the bonding hormone or the love hormone, and it's released when we hug someone we love, when we cuddle a pet, hold hands, sex, but even just a warm, heartfelt conversation can trigger the release of oxytocin. And here's the amazing part. Oxytocin doesn't just help us feel connected, it actually helps to reduce pain. I've had clients that were prescribed oxytocin for their pain. Oxytocin calms the body's stress response. It lowers your cortisol levels and it quiets the pain signals in the brain and the spinal cord, which means joy, love, and connection, they are all part of the same healing system. Every time you laugh with a friend, cuddle your cat, or share a hug, you're literally soothing your nervous system and helping your body move into rest and relax mode, rest and heal mode. So, when I talk about rediscovering joy today, I want you to know I'm not just talking about you feeling happier, although that is part of it. I'm also talking about changing your body and your brain chemistry in ways that support real physical healing, such as better sleep, more energy, and less pain. Now, if you've been with me for a while, and I do mean a while, you might remember episode 13, which would have released back in 2019 when this podcast launched. That is where I first introduced my joy list exercise here on the podcast. If you haven't heard it yet, you can find it at fibromyalgiapodcast.com/13 or scroll all the way back to the beginning and look for the episode about how you can add more joy to your life. The joy list is a simple concept. It's about making a list of things that bring you joy, both big and small, as well as a step-by-step guide to help you add more joy to your life. These are the things that make you smile, make your shoulders drop with relaxation, makes your face soften and your heart feel just a little bit brighter and lighter. It's the things that fill your cup, right? It's the things that restore your soul. So let's take a moment together and think about what brings you joy. I'm going to give you 3 questions that you can ask yourself, and if possible, pause the episode and take some time to journal your answers. And if you can't pause right now, no worries. Just consider taking some time in the next few days to think through your answers and maybe even do some journaling. Are you ready? All right. Number 1, what are 5 things that always make you smile, even on the hardest days? For me, the first thing that comes to mind is my cat, Finn. He is orange, and if you know anything about orange cats, they will always make you laugh. They are goofy. So what is it for you? Is it your family, pets, a favorite song, art, nature? Write down the first 5 things that come to your mind and then keep adding to that list over the next few days, weeks, months, and even years. It can be good to jot these down and add to it. Number 2, what used to bring you joy? What used to bring you joy as a child? What used to bring you joy before fibromyalgia? And I know you're going to want to try to edit this. Please don't. Write down the truth, write down what really used to bring you joy. The joy list exercise has steps in it to help you identify what you love about those activities and how to modify them for your new fibro life. So please don't edit, just write down what used to bring you joy. And then number 3, what are some new things that you're curious about that you just haven't tried yet? Now, some tips as you make that list. First, don't worry about writing down things that are useful or productive, right? Joy does not need to earn its keep. When I think of Finn, I do not think of him being useful or productive. If anything, he makes me unproductive and creates more work, right? Litter boxes, hair everywhere, getting in front of my computer and not letting me type, right? His value comes from just existing in my world and with how much laughter, love, and joy he brings to my life. Second, this step is going to be harder or easier depending on your fibromyalgia wellness style. As a playmaker, it is easy for me to, play, right? If you are a perfectionist, you may struggle with doing things that aren't crossing off tasks on your to-do list. If that's you, make experiencing joy one of those to-do list items so you can cross it off. If you're not sure what your fibromyalgia wellness style is, go take the free quiz. It takes just a couple of minutes to complete the quiz and to get your results. Then make sure you sign up for the advanced profile and those email tips where I can teach you how to use your wellness style to better manage your fibromyalgia. We'll have a link in today's show notes at fibromyalgiapodcast.com/172 for today's episode, or just go visit fibroquiz.com. Now, what we have done so far, listing out the things that bring you joy, used to bring you joy, or you might want to try, is only the first step of the joy list exercise. First, like I said, we're going to identify what brings you joy. But then the next step is to identify why or what about that thing actually creates the joy. Once we've done that, we can start to brainstorm modifications if necessary and plan what obstacles might get in the way and take steps to start adding that joy back into your life. For the full joy list walkthrough, make sure you go check out episode 13. This is something that I teach all of my students and coaches. So if you're working with one of our coaches and they haven't walked through the joy list with you yet, ask them for that. You can also sign up to work with a coach and have them help you if this feels extra hard, which sometimes it can. We will have a link in today's show notes where you can catch episode 13 or schedule a consultation with a coach. Today's show notes are at fibromyalgiapodcast.com/172. Now, I just used that word modifications. When you hear me say that, do you immediately think, oh, no, it will not be the same if I do it differently? If so, I get it. I really do. Sometimes it just doesn't feel the same when we do it differently. But you know what? It is okay if joy looks different now. Think about it. Fibromyalgia or not, life changes. What brought you joy at 5 years old is not the same as when you were a teen. I always think of my husband telling me the story about how he and his best friend, when he was little, they would sit in the basement and listen to this record and make farting noises and laugh their heads off. Obviously, that is different. When he told me that story, I just thought, girls don't do that. But what brings you joy at 5 is not the same thing that brings you joy as a teen or in your 20s. What brings you joy as a single person might not be the same thing as when you're married, before, during, or after raising your children, when you have grandkids. Life changes. And we can get so fixated on what fibromyalgia has, quote, stolen, that we miss the fact that it is normal for life to change. It is normal for our activities to change and for what brings us joy to change. Maybe dancing all night at the club becomes swaying in your living room. Maybe going to the movies turns into family movie night at home with bathroom breaks and snacks. Maybe hiking turns into short walks or sitting in the park with a camera in hand. Maybe a full garden becomes a few potted plants indoors. What matters is the feeling, not the actual activity. Too often we try to recreate the activity and completely miss the feeling. The most important part is the feeling. What we're looking to do with the joy list is to figure out how to create opportunities to experience the feeling, not so much ways to do the exact same activity again. Many of my clients have rediscovered joy through all kinds of things: painting, journaling, volunteering, mentoring, coaching, right? A lot of our coaches, they do what they do because that is what brings them joy. Me recording this podcast right now is part of what brings me joy. And sometimes it's about rediscovering old passions in gentler ways, like a container garden and indoor pots, instead of trying to take care of a full garden or full yard landscaping, right? Joy doesn't have to look like it did before. In fact, it probably shouldn't and won't, fibromyalgia or not. It just has to belong to you and make your heart sing. So let's get practical here. I've got 6 ideas for you to help you rediscover your joy. Are you ready? Number 1, schedule joy intentionally. Add it to your calendar like any other self-care activity. Perfectionists and prevailers put experiencing joy on your to-do list just like you do everything else. Your joy is just as important as taking your supplements and eating your veggies. Now, playmakers, really probably all I have to do is give you permission to play and you will play. And for our ponderers, I would just encourage you to try. Realize that playing and joy can be found in the trying as much as it can in the doing. So don't get hung up on what's going to happen if I try this or will I even like it. You aren't going to know if you're going to like it until you try it. So set that worry aside and just try and see. Let it be an experiment. Number 2, start small. Just 5 minutes of something that brings you joy is enough to begin. So here are some short, fast ways that you can start small. Number 1, have some funny cat videos saved. A lot of these videos are just, especially if they're on social media, they're less than a minute long, right? And you can watch these silly cat videos or dog videos or animal videos. I happen to be a cat person, so you will hear cat a lot, but just know that does translate. I've even seen I can't believe I'm about to say this. I've even seen some really cute snake videos. There's a snake called Marshmallow that is just freaking adorable. Anyway, stop, cuddle the cat when they come say hello, right? I have always felt like my cats were God's way of telling me to take a break. So when they come visit me during the day, I take a minute or two to enjoy them. I was actually supposed to start recording this when Finn came into the room. So I delayed recording for a couple of minutes so I could give him some love, and now we're both good to go. Create a playlist of your favorite songs. Take a minute to look at the view and enjoy it. Number 3, pair joy with rest. So, for example, you can listen to music while you are using your heating pad or light therapy lamp. You can use some self-massage while you're looking out the window at the view. You could try a lights out night like Scott and I do, where we turn off all the lights and listen to an audiobook or play card games by candlelight. It's rest for our nervous systems, and it helps to reset our circadian rhythm by turning off all those bright lights. And it helps bring us closer together because we're doing something we both enjoy. Number 4, create a joy corner. A cozy spot that's filled with things that make you happy, a yummy smelling candle, a favorite photo, your softest cuddly blanket, a hot beverage, and a good book. Bonus points if you can convince your pet to join you. Number 5, create a joy jar, or keep a joy jar, I should say, because this is something that will be ongoing. You're going to jot down little moments that made you smile and drop them in the jar. Then you can pull them out on tough days when you're wondering what could possibly bring you joy with all this struggle, right? And it'll remind you of those things. You could also combine this with a gratitude jar, and the things that you are thankful for and the things that bring you joy are often the same things. So think about combining your joy jar with a gratitude jar. And number 6, have a love notes box. For years, I have kept a decorative box with all the love notes that I get. There's a note in there from my 4th grade teacher. There is notes from my grandparents who have all passed, my parents, my husband, clients, friends, customers, employers. There's all kinds of things in there. So whenever I start to wonder if I'm making a difference in the world, start to wonder, well, why am I doing all of this? I pull out that box and I read through those notes. I've also started keeping a virtual version of that box. These days, we get less paper and a lot more virtual, right? So I've been taking screenshots of messages that I've received. So emails, text messages, things on social media, and I save them all into a folder in my photos. And so when I'm having a rough day, I'll scroll through those photos and read through those. I also will look at photos of Finn. Finn is a guaranteed pick me up. So remember, joy is a practice. It's something that you rebuild piece by piece. At first, it is going to feel like it's a muscle that's weak. It is going to be hard. It will feel awkward, just like if you went to the gym and tried to lift weights with muscles you haven't been using in years. It might even hurt a little to start practicing your joy. But the more you practice, the stronger that joy muscle is going to become, and it will be easier and easier to find joy every day. And over time, those pieces are going to add up to a life that feels full again, a life that expands instead of shrinking, and a life that feels like it's worth living and worth fighting for. This that we're talking about today is the thing that is going to keep you doing all the things you need to do to feel better. Because feeling better is hard work, right? I always joke that, fibromyalgia, getting in my fibromyalgia in remission was hard work. And most of the time, that hard work looked like rest. And I really do believe that rest is the hardest work of all. And it is even harder when you don't have a why. Why am I doing this, right? It's the joy. It is the things that we enjoy in life that are the reason to keep going. Now, fibromyalgia, it can take away many, many things, but it can never take away your capacity for joy. That part of you, the part that laughs, that creates, that loves, that dreams and hopes, it is still in there. It's just waiting for you to feel safe enough, waiting for you to use those muscles again. So this week, I invite you to work on your joy list, whether you're creating it for the first time or just revisiting your joy list. Start that. And remember that it is normal for life to change, and it is normal for our joys to change. It's normal to need to revisit that list. It's not a one and done. Look for those small moments that make you feel that spark of joy, even just for a few seconds, and write them down because it's so easy to forget. Most of my joy list items are simple things that don't take any time or any money. It's things like playing or cuddling with Finn, right? Reading a good book by the fire, sitting on my deck overlooking Mount Rainier, staring at the mountain, enjoying an eggnog latte this time of year, right? I only get them around Thanksgiving and Christmas, so I have all that I can because it's the only time I can get them. So yes, that is on my joy list. Watching funny cat videos, listening to my favorite music. This is the majority of my joy list. Sure, there are also things on there like going to the spa or taking a vacation with my husband, but those are really the exceptions where the little things are making up most of my list. So start your list today. Make a note on your phone, use a special journal, whatever is easiest for you, but start your list today or add to your list today. And if you'd like help walking through that full exercise, go back to episode 13. Again, we'll have a link in today's show notes. It's fibromyalgiapodcast.com/172. And that is really a great place to start. There are even a couple of worksheets that you can download that will help you work through your list. I'd also recommend checking out our new blog and online magazine. I'm not sure if I've talked about this yet here on the podcast, but the Fibro Compass is our new online magazine, and this is where real patients and experts share practical tips, personal stories, and hope for living well with fibromyalgia. You will especially love the article that just posted last week by certified fibromyalgia coach Ann Garner. She talks about how practicing gratitude can boost your mood and improve your health in the same way that I talked about joy today. It fits in perfectly with everything that I've just talked about. So go check out her article. Because yes, fibromyalgia does take things away, but through joy, you can begin to take your life back. You deserve a life that feels good, not just one that you suffer through. Joy is possible, even with fibromyalgia. And if you find yourself getting super, super stuck, because let's be honest, if it's been too long, right? Just like we were talking about joy, that joy muscle. If it had been too long since you went to the gym, you might want to see an expert to help you know how to get started again without hurting yourself, right? You might hire a personal trainer, you might go to physical therapy and get some guidance. If it feels like that with bringing joy back into your life, where it's painful, it's hard, it hurts, you're not sure how to even get started, consider working with a coach. We all have worked through this ourselves. This exercise is one that I designed out of things that I did in my own life. I use it with all of my clients, all of my students, so every single one of them knows what to do with this and can help you find your joy again. And sometimes you just need to borrow somebody else's hope that something is possible. And so we can do that for you too. You will be able to schedule a consultation with any of our coaches or students with the link in today's show notes. It's fibromyalgiapodcast.com/172. And now I've got this week's listener shout out for you. This actually comes from Megan, and she said, "Thank you so much for this podcast. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia about 3 years ago and had never before heard of this condition. Your podcast gave me hope that I could learn to manage my symptoms when the medical community was telling me there was little to nothing that could be done. In every episode, there is something I learn or something I am prompted to think about from another perspective, and I truly believe this is helping me get healthier. Thank you for being so candid in sharing your story and your lessons learned." Thank you so much for that, Megan. And hopefully today is another example of something for you to think about from another perspective or something to learn. That's perfect. So thank you for that, Megan. And thank you to you listening for spending time with me today. Remember, you really do deserve a life that feels good, a life that you want to live. If fibromyalgia has taken that from you, let us help you get that back. So until next time, keep taking good care of yourself and find those small sparks of joy.